Welcome to Madeira, a small island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Wild, dramatic, and breathtakingly beautiful. Known as the Pearl of the Atlantic, Madeira is a place where mountains rise straight from the ocean, clouds dance over ancient forests, and every road leads to a view you'll never forget. This is not just another travel destination, it's a land shaped by volcanoes, carved by time and softened by nature. From the high peaks of Pico do Arriero and Pico Ruivo, to the moss-covered trees of Fainal Forest, the endless cliffs of Cabo Girao, and the natural lava pools of Porto Moniz, Madeira is a living postcard. Its charm lies in contrasts. Rugged yet peaceful, remote yet welcoming, small yet full of endless discoveries. In this road trip, we'll cross the island from coast to coast, mountain to valley, forest to ocean. We'll follow narrow mountain roads, walk along ancient levadas, explore hidden villages, and witness sunsets that turn the sky into fire. This is our journey through Madeira, seen through the lens of nature, light, and motion. Get ready to discover one of the most magical islands in the world. Madeira Airport, located on a small peninsula, is famous for its unique expansion, part of the runway built over the ocean. This engineering feat was achieved using concrete columns that support the runway extension, allowing it to be lengthened without occupying the limited land space on the island. The project posed a huge challenge due to the mountainous and restricted terrain, with additional risks posed by ocean waves and winds. To ensure stability, special technologies for ground reinforcement and concrete construction were used to guarantee the safety of landings for heavy aircraft. The result is a one-of-a-kind airport with a runway built over water, which not only increases the airport's capacity but also ensures maximum safety for international flights. Miraduro de Ponta do Rasto and Canacle Viewpoint are located in the eastern part of Madeira, a region known for its dramatic landscapes, remarkable nature, and well-preserved traditions. This area is one of the driest and most arid parts of the island, in stark contrast to the lush, green mountains and forests found elsewhere on Madeira. The climate here is much drier, with less rainfall, which gives the landscape a more desert-like appearance. Miraduro de Ponta do Rasto is positioned on the coastline and offers one of the island's most spectacular views. From here, you can enjoy the endless horizon of the ocean and the majestic cliffs that drop steeply into the water. The landscape is a combination of rolling hills, covered in greenery, and steep rocky formations, giving the place a dramatic and breathtaking appearance. Nearby lies Canacle, a fishing village with a long history. From the Canacle Viewpoint, you'll be treated to magnificent views of the coastline and the sea, as well as the colorful terraces typical of this area. Canacle is famous for its traditional fishing and cultural roots, which are an important part of Madeira's history. The region around Ponta de São Lourenço, which is part of this eastern section of the island, is a nature reserve with unique flora and fauna. If you enjoy hiking, here you can explore trails that take you through pristine landscapes and rugged formations, standing tall against the wild ocean. This part of Madeira is peaceful and non-touristy, offering not only breathtaking views but also the chance for experiences in harmony with nature. If you're looking for the real Madeira, filled with tranquility and beauty, this is the place for you. These charming triangular houses are one of Madeira's most iconic sights. Located in the village of Santana, they are known for their steep thatched roofs, brightly painted facades, and simple yet striking design. Originally built by local farmers, these houses were designed to withstand the island's humid and rainy climate. The thatched roofs provided insulation and protection from the elements. Today, they're preserved as cultural heritage and attract visitors from all over the world, a colorful window into Madeira's rural past. We arrive at one of the most breathtaking natural wonders on the island of Madeira, Cabo Girao. This is one of the highest sea cliffs in Europe, rising an impressive 580 meters above the Atlantic Ocean. Located just about 15 minutes by car from the capital city Funchal, this destination attracts thousands of visitors each year with its stunning panoramic views. From the top of Cabo Girao, you'll be treated to a spectacular view of the ocean, green terraced vineyards, and the charming coastal towns of Camara de Lobos and Funchal itself. It's a place where nature and human craftsmanship come together in a truly unique way. The main attraction here is the Glass Skywalk, a modern platform with a transparent floor that gives you the thrilling sensation of floating above the abyss. The experience is both exciting and unforgettable. Looking down through the glass, you can see the sheer drop of the cliff beneath your feet and the crashing waves far below. Access to the site is easy and convenient. There's a paved road, parking, and a cafe with an ocean view. Cabo Girao is a perfect spot for a quick stop during a tour of the island, or for a romantic walk at sunset. This isn't just another tourist attraction. It's an experience that stays with you forever. If you're planning a trip to Madeira, don't miss adding Cabo Girao to your itinerary. We're passing through one of the areas where bananas are grown, one of Madeira's most iconic crops. Banana plantations cover the hills and terraces of the island, especially in the south, where the climate is warmer and sunnier. The bananas grown here are smaller than the typical supermarket variety, but they're known for their richer, sweeter flavor. That's because they're grown traditionally by hand, without large machinery, and ripen naturally under the Atlantic sun. The Madeiran banana is so valued that it has its own protected geographical indication in the European Union, Banana de Madeira. Locals use it in desserts, smoothies and even savory dishes, like the famous espada com banana, black scabbard fish served with fried banana. Welcome to Fainal Forest, one of the most mysterious and enchanting places on the island of Madeira. This is not just a forest. It's a world where nature feels almost supernatural. Twisted laurel trees, covered in moss, stand silently in the mist. The soft light filters through the clouds, creating the feeling that you're walking through a fairy tale or a dream. Fainal is part of the ancient Laurisilva Forest, a subtropical woodland that has remained nearly unchanged since prehistoric times. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, protected for its unique ecosystem and incredible biodiversity. Here, the humid air, constant fog, and peaceful silence create the perfect environment for rare plants and animals to thrive. But what makes this place truly unforgettable is the sense of calm and mystery, a place where time seems to stand still. Walking through Fainal is not just a hike, it's a state of mind, a journey into the very heart of nature. Ribera de Janela is famous not only for its charming coastal village but also for its unique volcanic rock formations that rise dramatically from the Atlantic Ocean like ancient guardians of the shore. The most striking features are the two massive, elongated rock pillars shaped by nature's forces over thousands of years. These formations are a stunning testament to the volcanic activity that sculpted Madeira's landscape. Waves crash powerfully against their bases, creating a dramatic contrast between the raw power of the ocean and the steadfast strength of the stone. Locals call the site the window, Janela, because one of the rock pillars has a natural opening, framing the horizon, as if nature carved its own window to infinity. These rocks are more than geological formations. They symbolize the endless dialogue between land and sea, time and eternity. For photographers and nature lovers, Ribera de Janela is a true paradise, a place where you can feel the wild, unspoiled beauty of nature in its purest form. Welcome to Porto Moniz, one of the most breathtaking locations on the island of Madeira. Here you'll find some of the world's most stunning natural volcanic pools, formed by ancient lava flows and naturally filled with crystal-clear seawater. Just steps away from the powerful waves of the Atlantic Ocean. The pools are fully safe for swimming and are part of a well-maintained complex with walking paths, sunbathing areas and incredible ocean views. Porto Moniz is where the raw force of nature meets the calm charm of a quiet coastal village. It's a place where you can relax and be amazed at the same time. Whether you come to swim, take photos, or simply enjoy the view, Porto Moniz is a stop you absolutely shouldn't miss.